For those of you that don't know, Current is both a website and a television channel. We broadcast the television channel in across the United States, in Italy and in the UK. We launched in the UK about 18 months ago, and we broadcast here on Sky and Virgin. So you have to subscribe to one of those platforms in order to get the channel in the UK, unfortunately. And in the US, we broadcast on DirecTV, Comcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Time Warner, like loads of the kind of the main cable channels. Yeah. And the original kind of format of Current was that it was open to anyone to upload a short documentary to our website at current.com. And those were voted on by the online community. And the most popular of those made it to television, by which we mean the Current TV team got in touch with that filmmaker and said, your film's doing great on current.com, we'd like to broadcast it on our TV network, we'd like to pay you some money, and we'll buy it off you and show it on our TV channel. So that's the kind of sort of pure democratic model that we started with. And the idea behind that when the channel was started was that there wasn't really a place for particularly young filmmakers to kind of make the films that they were really passionate about and get them broadcast on television, particularly in the States at the time. And it was started by Al Gore and his partner Joel Hyatt. So that format's kind of developed a little bit, particularly on the UK channel, and not only do we allow people to upload their films to the website and we select the most popular of those for air, we also commission filmmakers as well. Everything on the channel is kind of under 10 minutes, really. So we commission short documentaries about a range of subjects. And in the UK particularly, and more in the US as well, we're setting particular themes for those programmes now as a way to drive audiences and PR to a particular kind of programming. When Current TV started, all of our content was kind of shuffled on the channel like an iPod shuffle, so you never knew whether you were going to get something about style or something about international politics, or from one minute to the next the content changed. What we realised from doing that in both America and here was that it was a bit too random. It didn't provide any opportunities for someone to say, okay, I need to tune into Current at 9 PM tonight because this programme is going to be on that I really want to watch. Because it was all random shuffled content. So now we pick a theme each month and we commission or buy a bunch of short documentaries on that particular theme, and we broadcast it in a kind of programming stunt that we can sell to our PR agency and say, go out and pitch this to different broadcasts, different publications, and see if you can get any coverage for our programming. And that's been really successful. We've kind of been going with that for the last year. And the subjects that we picked this year have ranged from bloodshed and brotherhood, which was about war and peace around the world, to Battle of the Sexes, which was about relationship between men and women and gender identity. And then we did a season in June, which was about drugs and alcohol use in the UK, which got some really good reviews. So we've kind of proved that you can start with a very small idea, do a short documentary about it on a very low budget, and end up getting coverage in some of the big newspapers and getting loads of PR around your film.
Are you guys familiar with Current before this introduction? So what are you hoping to get out of this session mostly? Are you trying to get a sense of how to distribute your short films on TV in general, or your films on TV in general, or anybody want to pipe up?
It's probably different for everybody.
Yeah. Right, that's why I'm trying to get a sense of what everybody's kind of interested in. Like you. I'm looking at you. But.
I suppose the use of television now, in terms of all the changes we're talking about in the other sections.
The digital distribution and how television fits in.
And change, thinking about doing a bit of a film, feature film, doing a bit on television, and is TV. I have to be really honest, I haven't seen it. I feel so embarrassed because I really.
So we'll fix that.
I was like, I must watch it. And I haven't got Sky version, and I couldn't on the internet. But I suppose I was intrigued about using TV more. I've always thought about making feature films. And I must admit, I do fiction as well, but I'm intrigued by documentary. So I'm thinking about working in fiction more, but in a how is TV changing with the new?
So everybody here is a filmmaker, right, presumably, correct?
No, I've had dealings with Current myself. I work for 1.0. We have a festival that travels the world. We're in a new partnership in London with BFI and with the education programme with the University of Arts London and the University of Westminster. We've been trying to have a conversation with Current about whether they might want to be involved or tune into that. I'm talking with David Ridings. And it's almost impossible to have a linear conversation when you're meeting. I've tried going the other route of dangling stars like Nitin Sawhney and collaborating with Ez Devlin and the unique collaboration that we're trying to create at the IMAX with people like Sky Arts. In the end, we will resort to press releases to BBC and probably on 6 o'clock news. And what I'm feeling is that we need even the new empowerment models, and I love Current TV, I think it's great. I want to find new ways of getting what we're doing out there and raising critical analysis, because things like YouTube don't do that. Vimeo, it's not a matter of me just marketing my content, it's about positioning and giving people the opportunity to select new art forms, and those attuned to issues like sustainability or education as well. So delivering a range of things from arts, culture through to entertainment, but we're so constricted even now by the models that are out there available to us. So we just end up PRing to try and get people to take interest.
Well, this whole conference must be of a large interest to you then, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so I mean, we kind of came here just with the very broad sense of, okay, we're just going to kind of answer questions effectively, which I think is probably maybe what we can do best, because I think Emily and I both understand pretty fully how television fits into these new models that are being presented by Lance and Aaron and all these people. And of course, we're here for Current, so we feel that Current does fit into that very nicely as a distribution partner for short format documentary films. But there are also other options here and in the States that we're pretty well versed in. So, I mean, maybe that's the best way to approach this session then, is just kind of get a sense of what you guys are into and maybe hopefully provide some answers. Does that work for everybody? I know this sounds very American and very feel-goody, like, is everybody happy?
Can you tell us a little bit about Current TV?
Sure.
So I guess the interesting thing about, this session about how the two formats work together, in that, being completely frank, television is still our cash cow at the moment. That's how we make most of our money. And we're looking at ways that we will start to monetize our online proposition, going forward in the coming year. That's a big priority for us. But, since we launched, really, that's how we made our money, is through doing those partnerships with different cable platforms like Sky and Virgin, who will fund us to be on their platforms. So, that's one reason why television is still at the heart of everything we do. The other reason that the two work so well together is that what I guess we started trying to do was harness that democratic power of the internet and start channeling some of that through to TV. And my background was I used to work in the documentary commissioning department at Channel 4 as an assistant, and I loved working there, but what I found a little bit frustrating is how few opportunities there were for new talent. And there are a lot more at Channel 4 than there were at some of the other, main terrestrial broadcasters. So the thing that I find really exciting about Current is that we're starting to become a really good, solid platform for first-time documentary directors to just have a go. And I've been really excited to see individuals coming through who are struggling, kind of researchers or APs in production companies, struggling to want to get into making documentaries, who haven't been given that first break to author their own work. And we're kind of, there to say, well, we're not for everybody, but we'll pay you a little bit of money to go and make something short that can then be a good little calling card for you to take to other places.
Does Current produce anything? Does it send anything out and capture?
Yeah, absolutely. About 40% of our content is viewer created, and then the rest is in-house. Another thing, I mean, she's speaking about first-time and emerging filmmakers, but also for those of you who are a little more developed and who are kind of in this place where, for example, you have a feature documentary, and you're trying to self-distribute, right? There's all these options. There's internet, there's YouTube, there's blah, blah, blah. Another thing is that Current can be a television partner in that respect, because we can acquire a cut down. We can acquire a cut down of the doc, we can air it on the network, promote your documentary a little bit, and be a distribution partner for TV for this documentary in parallel with all these other places that you're distributing the full doc, if you understand what I'm saying. But our rights structure, it's worth bringing it up right now because this is a hot topic at this conference, I know, is rights are a big deal. And our rights structure is traditional media. When we buy something, we buy it in all platforms in perpetuity till the end of time, basically.
Even in space, I think.
Yeah, I think Mars. But that's okay, because for a filmmaker like maybe like yourselves who already have some content, we can do cut downs, and we'll just do it on that cut down. So you still own your documentary. You can still distribute it across all these other platforms that we're positing here at this conference, and also have that TV representation on Current or elsewhere, of course. So that's worth noting quickly.
From the other perspective as well, if you're thinking about making a longer form documentary for distribution, and you're struggling to get your project off the ground and get that initial bit of funding, I've started off by funding a filmmaker to make a short piece for Current, and I'll pay them, £500 to £1,000 to make a sort of 4 to 6 minute piece for us. And then they can, take that round to broadcasters and go, okay, this is my taster tape for something that I'm looking for funding for to make a longer project out of. I had 2 filmmakers who wanted to make a feature doc about a border town in Mexico. And they wanted to make it generally about lots of different people within this town. But when they first went there, one of the interesting stories was about this amazing debutante ball that the girls in the high school get really excited about in this border town. And they wear these amazing dresses, and very visual story, perfect for a little short piece. And I commissioned them to make that for Current, and that funded their next trip out there, just paid for their flights so they could get out there, shoot something, and then come back and take that to other places to try and get funding.
For something like that?
We generally pay,
the first one.
Yeah, we generally pay sort of up to £1,000 per film.
Per film?
Yeah, so it's a small amount of money. But generally, the films are between kind of 3 and 6 minutes long. Right. They're generally things that you could film in a day or two and cut in a day or two. So, and we provide lots of help with that final stage of production as well. So I have 2 full-time editors on my staff, and we do quite a lot of the final kind of, colour and sound finishing, and also adding graphics or adding other third elements that might be useful to just raise the production values of your piece. So you're cutting down those kind of final costs.
What's the license agreement that you have? What ownership do you have then over that content?
In that instance, it would be something where we'd own it in perpetuity across all platforms. However, there's other instances. For example, I don't know if you're familiar with, I think I talked about this in our...
Yeah,
John, I feel like I'm repeating myself.
I was expecting to hear you.
John Rice, he made a film called Bomb It, which is a new film about graffiti all across the world that's making the circuit right now and is having some success. John, has this feature film, and it's these series of episodes about graffiti artists everywhere. And so what we ended up doing with him through our acquisitions department in the US was buy little episodes, and in that instance, we just have the rights to that little episode. I think we struck a special deal in this instance for TV and maybe DVD and theatrical rights, but the internet rights were still free.
Does the artist also still have rights to that work?
I'm sorry?
The creator, the director, do they still have rights to that work?
Well, it's his film. I mean, we can't. I mean, geez, that would be awful, So no, we just got these little episodes, and he's still exhibiting Bomb It. Hopefully, he'll sell it.
And do you have mobile applications?
No, not right now. But we're not right now.
Sure.
I mean, I can get it on my iPhone. I don't know. Do we know?
I mean, I guess it's something that might happen in the future, but at the moment, it's not on the cards.
Do you have any plans to go outside of 10 minutes, or is that kind of the about Current's embedded that it's shorter than?
We're toying with programming. I can't speak for the UK, so I'll let Emily speak to that. I know in the US and in Italy, we're toying with different formats. I know that in the US, we're piloting half-hour shows right now. And I know we just acquired our first feature doc. What we're going to do with it, we don't know. But it's definitely something that's in the cards, but not right at the moment in the US and Italy at least, no. But maybe in the UK.
I guess the reason we've concentrated on doing short stuff from the beginning is because we want to keep that barrier to entry low so that we can get as many people as possible making films for Current. And what we've found more success with is kind of still doing all these short stories, but they then act as kind of like features in a longer program about something. So, I mean, as far as we're concerned, we're kind of packaging them up into longer shows, but we're going to continue to commission short pieces. And then in terms of our own internally produced programming, we do quite a lot of half hours now, don't we? So we have a few internal franchises, like we do an animation show called Super News, which is kind of like a political satire. To come in? What else we do? We do The Fix, which is a music show. We have Vanguard, which is we have a team of journalists who work full-time for Current, who go and cover more journalistic stories from around the world, and they really set the bar for some of our commission content as well.
Yeah.
I was going to show you, this is a, can you just press play and get it past this bit with our presenter at the beginning?
So fast forward? Hang on, let me turn.
No, I think you just have to play that and it will finish really quickly and come through to...
In a season called Battle of the Sexes. Now, in an age when
sorry, this is a DVD we made for our press, and it's just got this intro, which we'll just get through. Yeah, so we have presenters on the channel who introduce each piece, and actually up until, well, still currently at the moment, we've filmed all of our presenter links to the UK channel from our LA studio, which is always, in my mind, looks a bit weird, but we're just about to launch our new UK studio, which will look great, and we've just hired a bunch of new presenters, and some of those have come through the VC² route. So they were originally people who were making short stuff and uploading it to our website, and we saw them on camera and thought they were great, and we've employed them full time.
On the web? Yeah.
So that's not linear broadcast?
On the web, of course, but on TV, of course, it's perforce linear.
Yeah, it's a linear channel.
Does the main point to get to you is through the web? You don't just say it online, so you don't say it in the post your film?
Yeah, you can as well. I mean, you know, we wouldn't want to stop anybody sending anything in just because, you know, they were struggling to upload something, or so either you can. I think I'm going to show that 80% girl, 20% boy.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get to it, but just before you show it, I'm going to introduce it.
Okay.
This is some of the films that we did for our Battle of the Sexes season, which was just on last week. And you can see from the titles, we try and title in that kind of, you know, tabloid way that gets people to click on stuff. But
so therefore you curate the content into groups and then give it titles.
Yeah.
And online now, do you have any editorial of your own or links?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have the new website that launched has this thing called a topic page, which is effectively like a curated page of content. And the cool thing about it is it's entirely democratic, because basically you can clip something to our website and start a topic, you know, Power to the Pixel. And then you'll have created this topic page and you can tag stuff to that topic. It's very Web 2.0, it's very cool. It's actually really cool. The website's really cool. And it creates these content channels that we're about to launch into a lot more and a lot beefier modes of those terrible grammar.
But yeah, I mean, you can current.com is a really useful tool for marketing anything. You know, if you want to, you can either market yourself as a filmmaker or your organisation or whatever it might be. You can create your own topic page and post to it and get your own little community going online. And then, yeah, as Saskia says, we're going to have these main channels, which are kind of like buckets of information on you know, headline genres like sex and relationships, technology, entertainment, and you'll fall into one of those channels, but within that you can have your own sort of subgenre. So this film worked really well for us as part of this season, because it's a really nice human interest story. It's a nicely made little film, and it's ended up working for us really well, both online, on television, and in terms of PR. The person that features in it ended up with a double-page spread in New magazine, which trashy mag, but gets a brilliant readership. It's got 40,000 views online in the first weekend, which is pretty high for Current, and it's about 60 people commenting on it in the first week, and it's created a really interesting discussion online. So I think it's a good example of what works pretty well for us.
Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you all hear? Not at all, huh?
It's very low, isn't it?
Yeah, let me go get that. Yeah, it's at the top of the wheel. It's not at the top of the wheel. You want to get him for me?
Oh, that's a bit better.
We'll get the techie guy to fix that.
I'll come back to that.
I don't know what the rules are governing content put onto current. What's to stop the person that's made this put it onto YouTube?
Nothing. I mean,
Apart from their contract.
Well, until we
So
buy
there is
it.
a contract.
Until we buy it.
Okay.
So Current's a digital distribution platform like YouTube, like you name it. No problem, put your stuff up. If we acquire it, then it's a television
TV,
product.
okay.
You know, and then it's like any other television network.
And what rates do you pay for TV?
The same band that I mentioned before.
Okay.
We don't pay anything for online. We only
okay.
pay for stuff that we put on TV. And then we will
So
typically
you
pay.
either get a fee for having created something, or you get a commissioning budget for creating something that you particularly like.
And in both cases, it's pretty much the same money. Okay.
Are you guys all ready?
Do you want to just go back to the beginning?
Of course. Oh God, they put the least technically savvy person on this.
That's not true.
Yeah, I can design a website, but I can't do this.
I don't know why it's not going back to the beginning.
Maybe stop and start.
Yeah.
And we'll drag it like that.
Drag the
Come here,
drag
'cause
that.
it's stuck now.
It does look like it's stuck.
Obviously my parents made the wrong decision. If it would have been my choice, I would have definitely chosen to be a girl, a tomboy. Nine.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had to get ready. Apparently the doctor that I was about is the hardest one in the whole country. And you have to like really impress him, otherwise you're going to get any help. My carrier type turns out to be XXY. XX is girl, XY is boy, XXY is girl and boy. This was about the time of my fourth operation, the last one. When they did that operation, I thought they were going to make me into a girl. You know, I ran around showing finding that I was a girl, and obviously got into trouble at school because I wasn't. Girls to be girls. So, and then I got some makeup. Then, I do usually wear makeup, but then I'm going to be like, no, pretty full on. Yeah, and I was told to dress a bit like a secretary, which is kind of a bit difficult when you've got so many tattoos, but I think I'll find out a way to do it. Quite fierce female. I would say I'm kind of like 20% male still. And that's fine. You know, I don't see what the problem is with that. I'm not really into these gender stereotypes, you know. But if you want to be a woman, you have to be this, that, the other. I'm like, well, you know, I know all kinds of women. I know women with skinheads. And, you know, but there is this, especially when you change gender, there's this real sort of like, oh, we're only going to take you seriously if you become a parody. And I'm not prepared to do that. The whole world relies on this binary of two genders, male and female, but the fact is there's 40 different sex conditions. What I like about you is that you're completely androgynous. There's just not many people like that. So I think you should go for a test to see if you're XXY as well.
I don't think it would change anything because I'm quite happy the way I am. I've told you that before. I mean, yeah, I would look good, but
I've always had a fascination with the colour yellow, and then I kind of figured out that yellow is like the intersex colour because when you don't know what gender a baby is, you don't buy a blue or pink, you buy a yellow. Oh wow, they're my colour. Oh, they're gorgeous. I love the heel. It's like totally unique. Thank you so much. Right, I think my makeup's done. Is that classically girly? I'm very nervous actually. I'm trying to be jovial, but you know, it is all what he says. What he says goes. And I do need this help, I do need this support, because I can't afford to do this on my own. So I need to take this seriously. All angels are intersex.
do you not know? I didn't.
Well, angels are hermaphrodite. They're both gendered. Gender identity outfit. The whole ethos of totality is like man and female. And when they've got us. Which one that? I tried living as a gay man. It didn't really work because even with all the tattoos and the steroids, something wasn't right. It took me till about the age of 28 before I realised, okay, something's got to change. I'm totally lost. I need to get across the road and I don't know how to get across. I'm getting really nervous now because I don't know what to expect. I'm putting these like really conservative heels on because I need to be as feminine as possible at the hospital. Which I think is kind of dumb, but I'm just really playing it by the book today. This is the hospital now. I was myself, I was genuine. And he just understood who I am and what I am. He said that the system has failed me because I've been referred when I was a teenager. And I've tried several times to transition without any support. And he was like, his words were, had you come here when you were 18, you'd be married and working in a good job, you wouldn't have been, you know, right now, and you wouldn't have been through all that shit. And he's like, you've lost 10 years of your life, and that's when I started crying. You know, it's sort of the next step now in my transition. So, it's good. I've lived 30 years of my life as a man, and I'm going to live the next 30 years of my life as a woman. But eventually, when I'm an old person, hopefully society would have moved on to a point where I can live as myself, which is an intersex person, neither male nor female.
About a platform like Current as well is that after that film's been broadcast both on the television and then it's online, the conversation online continues, and you know, Adele and the filmmaker are both kind of involved in commenting with other viewers and carrying on that discussion. And there's been another one or two intersex people who've gone on and had that discussion online with Adele, and she's kind of met other people who are going through the same thing as her and been able to talk about it, and I think that's quite cool.
Is there any plan to do a Current TV for dramatic fiction or fiction entertainment?
I mean, Current TV is by its very nature a news and information network, so it's very hard to sorry?
The model of,
yeah, that's the nature of what it is. It's like, it's like, so we kind of have to be true to that. I mean, having said that, we're not closed to new programming ideas, and we're definitely exploring.
Animation?
Animation is an easier one, I think, because it's short and it's quick and it's easy. But I mean, we have to be true to our mission, which is to democratize the media for young people.
But
so
not Current TV, but indie TV, or just the same platform, upload their.
Well, I mean, current.com is a platform for anything you want.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Current.com, I mean, it's like YouTube. You upload exactly what you want to upload, whether it's like a personal vlog, which I do all the time, or like an actual film. But the TV networks are kind of, for now, retaining that mission of being news and information, therefore documentary based mostly.
In a way, you're the reverse polarity at this conference, aren't you? Because you're taking the power of social networks, Web2 and all those things, and turning it back into traditional media.
Absolutely, but that's the cool. This is, I mean, and don't let me get on my soapbox, but this is the cool thing about Current is that yes, we are. I mean, but what we're trying to do with that also is align traditional media with new media, and I think Current's really the only network that can do that, right? Because
the promise of convergence, ultimately, isn't it? BBC iPlayer is probably the newest thing to you, isn't it?
Absolutely, no, completely.
Love the iPlayer. It's brilliant.
If somebody didn't want to actually sell in perpetuity, but allow you to distribute for them, would you be able to do that?
As a general rule, no. But in special cases, we've worked out special deals, occasionally. But I mean, really, as a general rule, no. I mean, I say that, and I'm going to regret that.
And also, you can still, there's nothing to stop you keeping it on our website. You don't have to sell it to us.
Absolutely.
For us to put on the television network. You can use
it's
the.
more difficult when you're talking to creatives that have like a piece of animation or something that don't want to give it away.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and that's why I always say that Current isn't for everybody. It's for people who are quite happy to work within that rights structure, and then it's a perfect place to experiment and start making lots of stuff and getting it seen. But if you have something that is more close to your heart and that you want to distribute on other platforms as well, then it's possibly not the right place for you to go. But in terms of animation, I'm actively looking for a lot of animators at the moment because we are interested in doing more animated documentary.
I've been trying to talk to you for a long time, so
maybe you should talk to me instead of the very busy Mr. Ridings.
One of the things I'm interested in, and again, I don't want to dwell on that point, I know a lot of people here want to understand sales distribution, not just marketing distribution. I always think that conversation is just about sales and limits everything because it's all these platforms are giving new ideas. But you did mention that you made more money via the television networks. Is that through advertising?
It's also through the digital platforms that we operate on. So Sky and Virgin pay us to be on their network.
And is your viewing figures good there?
And we don't have any figures at the moment. We're not bar rated. We don't get any data, that can kind of give us a clear picture of what our audience is at the moment.
I guess that's going to govern your future in terrestrial TV, is it?
Yeah, well, it will certainly govern the advertising revenue that we can generate, I think, because, the interesting kind of difference that we're finding here, maybe compared to the States, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is that when we started, advertisers really wanted to be involved with us because of the innovative offering we had. And that's certainly still the case, but advertisers in the UK, we found, particularly for those television spot ads, they just want to know numbers, so we're having to fight harder for that. But we do have, I don't know if you're familiar with the VCAMs that we do on the channel, which is our kind of buzzword for viewer-created ad messages. So we partner up with brands and create, along with them, a brief for our viewers to create adverts for the channel. And it's fantastic for young creatives and media students, but also we've found that creatives working within ad agencies who perhaps don't get to have that creative freedom that they'd like love it as well. And for example, we've just paired up with PlayStation in the UK to do an ad for their new game Resistance 2. and we've put a call out on our website with a brief saying, you know, make an ad for this new game along the subject of invasion, and it can be, I think it's 30 to 60 seconds long. And that's an open call out that we're doing for content at the moment, which ends on November the 9th, I think. And then we'll select the most popular, we'll select the best one of those, we'll pay that person £1,000 to broadcast that ad on Current. But in lots of cases when we've done VCAMs before, if the brands really love the concept, then they'll then negotiate a much higher fee with you to develop it into a campaign. Who's done that in the States? L'Oreal,
Toyota, a whole host of
Toyota and T-Mobile, and I'm not
cetera.
sure of the exact deals that have come out of that, but you know it has created really good opportunities for young creatives.
Another thing that we're trying to align ourselves closely with is other distribution models, because I mean we understand that you know, increasingly filmmakers have ISIS in the back and tell us all about it. There's just so many options to get your stuff out there. How do you monetize it? You don't really know, but there's a bajillion options, right? So what we're trying to do is actually align ourselves with the other distribution models like film festivals and, well, obviously online distribution through a bunch of deals that we do, just to make sure that we also present this in the context of a larger universe for filmmakers, you know, and this as maybe a conduit to this larger universe of filmmakers, which is just worth noting.
Do filmmakers have the freedom to have some brand integration themselves? I know it can be difficult with docs, but say I approached a club night and said, you know, listen, I'm going to have a go, I'm going to have a crack at getting this on Current. If it gets on Current, will you pay me £2,000? Would that breach
it's touchy because we have ad sales, you know, and we need to respect our ad sales. So for example, if we have our sponsorship with Toyota that's live and you do some brand integration with Mazda or something, it could maybe be problematic. But I mean, that's not to say it's impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible. You know, you can always work out a deal.
It's not allowed, in other words, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be touchy, but again, anything's possible. It's just a question of hammering it out.
Do you have to be based in the UK or the US to apply for submissions?
No, not at all. In fact,
No?
we're usually, we have people we have stuff being submitted from Afghanistan right now, all over the world. It's an international network. I mean, our submitters are international, and that's what we need to represent.
With regards to you commissioning something for your file?
No, we have people working all over the place.
In fact, we actively try and find filmmakers based in different countries around the world, rather than sending, you know, somebody from the UK to cover a story in Afghanistan. We'd much rather find
it's about authentic
voices,
right? So I mean, if it's authentic, we want it. I mean, and it's good, we want it.
Although having said that, I do have a strong focus on doing UK stories, obviously, because you know that we want the channel to reflect what's going on in the UK. But yeah, I mean, we've got filmmakers all over.
Where are you from? Ireland. Okay. You would qualify.
In fact, it's, you know, as with, it's really hard finding filmmakers outside London. And that's not because I'm lazy, it's because there aren't the same networks of filmmakers in the regions. So I'm brilliant. I can give you my business card straight after. I'm always really actively looking for filmmakers in other areas of the UK and Ireland.
Do you have proposed as regards your seasons, what's coming up in the next couple of months that we could be looking to kind of, because I've been working in the field of kind of music and I guess a bit of travel and style and culture that we don't know, stuff I'm working on.
I have a brief that I can send you by email telling you what they all are, because we've planned them out for the whole of 2009. But they range from crime to fame to relationships. You know, I mean, somewhere throughout next year there'll be a season which your idea will fit into, I'm sure.
Just come from a talk downstairs about mobile distribution, and we were discussing getting rid of tariffs in favour of an always-on connection, so you don't pay for calls anymore because you do them via IP. One of the fallouts of that was that there are a lot of barriers to that actually occurring, because the whole internet is becoming so expensive because of visual content, and that the more visual content that's online, the more likely it is that we're going to be driven into download and payment models again. So people won't have free, you know, pay a monthly tariff to be online, a monthly connection fee, because you know, they're using too much bandwidth. How do you think that's going to affect you in the future, these type of networks?
That's a really good question.
It's a big question.
Yeah.
For us to answer, because we're less involved in that kind of side of the business, I would imagine, you and me.
Because here we all are sort of working with audio-visual, and
So,
we're looking at routes to get it online to say, that's one of the routes. And in a way, by the time we get there, it may well be that the system's changed.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I could posit a few alternatives, but I mean, I think that, I mean, if you're proposing a model where we're basically paying based on downloads, right? Is that what you're?
Well, it's exchange, upload.
Exchange, right? So okay, based on like megabytes.
That way, if things carry on the way they are.
I mean, we'll probably match the industry. So whatever the industry does, it's a horrible answer, I know, but I don't know.
I mean, you know, whatever it is, it will become clear soon, won't it? Because, you know, that, I don't know if you know, Rebecca Billingsley heads up our online team in the UK, and she set up Times Online and Heat Online, and she's specifically come on board to kind of think about how we start to commercialise that online proposition. So whatever comes out of, you know, of that will be the way we decide to go in terms of making money. But I would have thought it will still be out of advertising rather than paid subscription to the user, at least for the near future.
I like the symmetry of your names. Renshaw-Smith.
That's true, huh? That's true. Yeah, we're two peas in a pod, us too. Do you guys have any, so you guys are all, most of you are filmmakers, do you guys have any questions about distribution in general? I mean, about, what have you guys been getting out of this whole conference today? I mean, anything of interest or of relevant to discussion? You look like you've...
I think it's all relevant. It's how it's used.
Yeah, it's all in the execution, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to know that you can make money out of selling, you know, 3 to 6 minute docs.
Cuts. Yeah.
Clips from films, from TV.
And it seems that if you're doing an independent project and distributing it on your own on the web, that you can have pure creative way, perhaps go down paths that you must have some guidelines as to sort of things that you do not broadcast or even put in your content.
Of course. I mean,
what are the guidelines? Even like, is it 16:9 only, 4:3?
No, I mean, we broadcast in 4:3, so we prefer 4:3, but we do a lot in 16:9 because our filmmakers like the way it looks. So we're not prescriptive in that way. And I would say that our filmmakers do have quite a lot of creative freedom. And that this is a place for them to experiment and make the films that are close to their heart. But at the same time, we like that collaboration that comes with, you know, working with the filmmakers and developing ideas with them and working to commission things that we know will work on the channel because we have in mind what that strategy is all about.
How does that happen? So a filmmaker just uploads their film onto your site and you think, oh, I like that, I want to have a discussion with them.
Yeah, or, you know, either that or you just get in touch directly and email or... I mean,
the consumer aggregates it to the top or vote it out.
We do have a thing called the leaderboard.
So
yeah.
Populist that way.
The consumer decide. That's our nod to democracy. You know, if everybody votes on a short format documentary, and I think in the U.S. we buy it once a week. In the U.K. it's once a month. In Italy we don't have it installed yet. But so if you can mount a really good marketing campaign, and you upload your pod, you know, and it gets to the top, we'll buy it.
But it won't be quite easy to send it to you.
Yeah, it oftentimes is. Yeah. It's a more direct link. One thing that Current's all about is transparency and accessibility, and that's one thing, you know, people complain occasionally about the money or about the rights, and I understand that. But it's old media, it's TV, you know, and also, like, we're accessible, and that's the one thing that you can't really, that's my one big apology for Current. That's my one big, like, look, this is great because, like, you can get to us and you can actually collaborate with us, which you can't really do with television for the most part. It's a very closed system, much like the studios are a very closed system. It's just this very, you know, good luck, you know, and that's what I think is really great about Current, and that's why I feel like it's really in line with this new DIY movement that Lance and Aaron and MDOT and ISIS and everybody are involved in, because there is that sense of transparency and accessibility and that sense of democracy. and technology, all these Y words, and we're in that, you know.
I recently worked out as well how many of the filmmakers that have pitched in have been commissioned, or you know, the amount of filmmakers who've got in touch with us with an idea that we've ended up buying their film, and it's half, which is, you know, much higher than any other broadcaster. So it is very accessible from that point of view. You know, if you're a filmmaker with a good idea, the likelihood is that we'll offer you a commission. You know, it won't be £30,000, but it will be an opportunity to have a go and make something.
As you say, you online it and fix a sound. I mean, not fix a sound, but you know, sound mix.
Yeah, so yeah, we do all the finished edits in-house.
We also provide
our
music.
graphics and stuff. Oh
we have like a music library, and we have training. I mean, we're about to relaunch this huge training section on the site, which is kind of my little baby, and it's going to be a whole bunch of resources and community, and it ties to the workbook project and all this stuff that we're doing here, but also with actual training, like how to hold a camera, which maybe for you is a little basic, but then there's more developed things like storylines and, you know, what we're looking for. And so we like to handhold you through it so it's as painless as possible.
Totally.
You know.
And legal help as well, you know. I mean, some of the filmmakers I've worked with have never made anything before. They don't know about release forms or, you know, what they need to do legally when they're filming something. So we give loads of guidance in that area because we're really strict on all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Can I just ask a question that's not just about current, but maybe something that can inform on? I was quite pleased when iPlayer was, you know, shown to go to TV channels. I don't have Virgin Media, but it's on Virgin Media. Because I don't always want to sit in front of a computer screen to watch programming. So if I want to watch something that I've missed or whatever, I can now watch it on my nicer television experience with a sofa in my living room. When that finally came through, I realised how foolish I was, because actually if I had copied it to my hard drive, I wouldn't need that service at all. So really it's just about, it's catering for my forgetfulness. If convergence is a logical conclusion, because now there's iPlayer on mobile, if convergence is the conclusion whereby wherever I am, I can go to current TV online, why will you need current TV on TV?
Well, because there are, I mean, you know, we're a very targeted crowd here of people, correct? I mean, there are a lot of people who aren't that into online. I mean, we're a TV network, and that's how we make our money, and that's what we are, you know. I mean, the two-screen experience, you know, that you know, you're sitting on your laptop and you're watching it, and you're making a comment and it's popping up on TV, that's what we're aiming for, right? So it's kind of a dialogue between the two, and of course one of the crucial partners is that television thing. Television, I mean, truthfully has more cachet than online right now. I know it's changing, but at the moment it's like you're a filmmaker and you have a four-wall distribution versus like, you know, going up with your car and a projector and doing it on the side of a building. It's more, I don't know what the word is, but it's just a little bit more standardized, I guess, maybe. And
what happens when they're the same, though?
Well,
I'm sat here with my keyboard on television.
Well, that's kind of our goal. So I mean, the goal is to converge it, you know.
But then it's about that interactivity and then seeing all of that, you know, pop up on your television screen. I mean, we recently did Hack the Debate, which was, we broadcast the presidential debates live, and we did a partnership with Twitter, so all of our users could Twitter. We put those Twitter feeds onto the television screen, so you could see what people were thinking about the debate while they were watching it.
It's amazing and very distracting.
Really good.
So I guess the takeout of that is that if it's you'll have different points of entry to one screen, because you'll want either to be uploading or watching or commenting. So I guess that's what I'm trying to learn, that going forward we may have to develop facets to our offer rather than thinking about mobile and TV and mobile. It might be just about one thing that you have channels for.
Right. Thereby making your personal experience with it also public, right? I mean, it's almost like putting it on a server that everyone can access. It's the same thing. I mean, TV is just one form of that. But I mean, I think it's about that. It's about the personal experience. And I mean, we're increasingly, obviously, in a public kind of society, and that personal experience being broadcast out. Right now, TV is a very practical way of doing that. Maybe it'll change. I hope it does. Not that I don't love TV.
Well, I think we're about out of time, so